Um, Steve, this is incredible stuff. We talked about assessing the situation. When we first when we started out, we talked about fretboard freedom, connecting all the different scales, figure out like where you are on the fretboard, what you can do in your capacity and what you currently know, assessing the situation, actually sitting down and listening to the song, getting an idea of the groove. You know, is it a straight rhythm or is it a swing rhythm? Then getting an idea of like, what chords do I have in this thing? Well, we had E minor and A major in this, and we figured out that we could use the D major scale. We could use E minor pentatonic. We could use A major pentatonic. So, and then we talked about phrasing, the lengths of these kind of sentences versus just having your solo sound like a scale. And then targeting the root note of the chord is always a good idea as you're moving through your solo. All this stuff is awesome. We're about halfway through here, Steve. Do you want to take some questions now, or do you want to plow forward? Because I know you always have a ton of stuff, which is great.
I'm just going to throw a couple more things out there, and then we can start taking some questions.
Cool. Okay.
So I did see a couple things about in terms of, do you always have to go to the root? And the answer is no. Okay. But it's a great place to start. Like if you're not trying to emphasize anything, learning to go to E over an E minor and A over an A major, or whatever your situation might be, is a great place to begin. Because then people always go, well, what about the third and the fifth and the whatever? Those are all great. But if you can't do one, you can't do three. Right? So you got to learn to do one. So that's the thing is always remember that when you get over to this creative bucket and you start exploring the creative side of things, because I saw people asking about, well, how do you learn how to phrase and things? Guitar playing in this realm, this creative realm, is a subjective thing. There isn't any absolute rules to this, right? Other than maybe, playing in the right key and some logical things like that. But even those things can be bent to a certain degree. But the thing you have to understand is when you're in a rudimentary bucket, when you're in a theory bucket, and a theory bucket is explaining to you what mixolydian is, there's no right or there's no black or white. It is what it is, right? There's no bending the rule on it. A mixolydian mode is what it is. When you're practicing a particular kind of exercise, it's for some sort of development. We talked about this, I think, in the first or second session, that when you practice a technique, you're practicing it to build strength and speed and stamina and confidence and all these sorts of things. All of this stuff in these two buckets gets dumped in the third bucket, which is the creative bucket. And the thing about the creative bucket is when you get into the creative bucket, if your brain is still tethered to the first bucket, which is the rudimentary techniques bucket or the theory bucket or whatever it might be, you're not experiencing a creative element because you're thinking about trying to play that lick or you're thinking about trying to play whatever. The key to the creative bucket is you've got to learn to listen more than play. You've got to learn to respond to what you're listening to more than thinking about everything. Because if you're thinking about everything, you're not responding, you're thinking. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So when I'm hearing this, again, I've been doing this a long time, but when I listen to this, I understand that I'm gonna maneuver around the fretboard and I'm gonna make connections, sometimes on the root, sometimes on the third, sometimes on the fifth, sometimes I'll play an arpeggio, sometimes I'll do whatever. But I'm not thinking, I got to get an arpeggio in here because my teacher wants me to play 3 arpeggios every solo, right? I'm not thinking about it that way. I'm not thinking, oh, I got to play Dorian because pentatonic is for beginners and I can't play pentatonic. Like, I don't have those thoughts. I just go to play. Like, if I listen, here comes that A. More energy. So I'm going to go into that singing area. Little blues. again, I'm not going to spend the whole time doing this, but you get the idea. So as I'm phrasing, I'm thinking about, oh, I should throw some blues in here. That would be kind of cool. It sounds like something different, right? Or I'll do some single string stuff. I might be playing. To get some sounds like that or whatever it might be. So hopefully that helps you a little bit in understanding the process. Like, if you need to go back and watch this, of course, it'll be on YouTube and on Facebook and all kinds of places you can rewatch it. But when you got some time, I would love for you to write down some things and go, okay, so I need to assess my situation, right? I need to study my fretboard a bit more. I need more, practice on my technique. Because if I can't execute what I want to do with my fingers, even if my brain's telling me what to do, but my hands won't do it, that's something I need to work on. That's what, like this course, that's what Essential Techniques is all about, is developing those things so you use them when you choose to, when you want to use them. Because the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get to this, is be careful of complacency. Okay? You need to understand your music and your musical situations. You need to keep developing your creativity. You need to develop yourself outside your comfort zone. That doesn't mean today you're comfortable, don't be comfortable. It means once you establish comfort in whatever it is you're trying to do, you got to crack the shell. You got to crack that eggshell and move forward. That's how you keep getting better. Otherwise, every time you grab the guitar and play over any style of music or any jam, it sounds exactly the same. And I see this a lot with pentatonic. Like people will learn an element of pentatonic and then they'll go, oh my God, the rest of it just seems insurmountable. It seems like way too much work. So I'm just going to live here and I'm never going to leave this eggshell that I've built for myself. I'm not saying that that's bad. I mean, if you're happy in it, you never go, I want more, then you're okay. But if you want more, you got to crack that shell and go, okay, well, I need to add more. I need to step outside my comfort zone and maybe just add one new note. Take my pentatonic and just learn to add, a ninth in there or something like that. Just something, or a new way of doing my bending, right? I always do the same bends, but I need to learn how to, there's so many great ways of being able to manipulate the fretboard with bends and vibrato, and I just love that kind of stuff when I play. That's where that musicality comes from, is all in all that movement, the what I call vocal tools, which I talk about in the course too, but bending and vibrato and sliding and hammer-ons and pull-offs and, being able to take an exotic note that doesn't fit in your scale and throw it in and make it sound really cool, even though there's lots of really great ways that you can manipulate. It's not just about playing up and down a scale, you see?
Dude, that sounds so amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
I would like to, since you're talking about all of these different bends and you're just showing all those different techniques, could I share my screen and share your mind map with them?
Sure.
So guys, this is actually, I'm going to show you a behind the scenes look at how Steve Stine's mind works when he sits down and creates a course for you. He doesn't start by like flipping on the camera. He starts by a whole lot of drawing on his knowledge, his experience, and all of his teaching that he's done over the past 30 years. And this is what he does. The first thing he does is he sits down and creates these huge mind maps and just dumps everything out of his brain that he wants to teach you. And I want to share this with you, kind of a behind the scenes look at how Steve creates things. I'm just going to click share here. Hopefully it'll work. Let me know, Steve, if you can see this.
Yep, I can see it.
Everybody see the mind map? Just say like yes or something in the comments. Would be super cool. So this is the way Steve's brain works. He uses this mind mapping software and then just puts everything that he wants to teach you on here. Now we've already done 3 of these workshops, and we're actually gonna. This is the 4th one. I think we have 1 more to go. Guys, don't worry if you missed any of the previous ones. They're about an hour long. Super cool content. It's going to be available for you on the YouTube playlist as well as the Facebook playlist. So on YouTube, just go to Guitar Zoom and then click playlist, and then it'll be there called Essential Techniques. Same thing on Facebook. It'll be there for you in a nice, tidy playlist on Essential Techniques. But this is the actual course content. This is what you're going to learn in the Essential Techniques course. So the very first thing that Steve talks about in this course is guitar setup and amp. After you get the introduction, but you got your guitar set up and your amp set up. Then you jump straight into chords, open chords, power chords, bar chords. And you can see how each of these things, like for strumming, we did an entire workshop on strumming. All these different techniques of scratching and figuring out. Actually, scratching is a great way to figure out if it's a straight or a swing rhythm. You can just kind of tell before you even try to play any chords or anything.
Can you zoom in a little bit because it's fuzzy?
Is it?
Yeah. There you go.
Oh.
Zoom in. There you go.
Like this?
Yep.
Okay, really zoom in. All right, so, and look, I'm not going to bore everybody to death with every single topic, but you can tell that there's a whole lot of stuff in here, and this is just on strumming. I'm going to bounce down quickly and show you. Let's go over here. Picking hand development. Let me blow this up. So picking hand development, picking control, down picking, palm muting, holding the guitar properly. Look how deep this goes. Elbow, wrist, fingers, listen and feel. I'm going to jump over to, there's the exercises, the 30-second, 60-second, 3-minute exercises for your picking control. It also goes into fretting hand, legato techniques, and I'm going to jump over to the stuff that we're talking about today, which is all of the different soloing techniques. So, for example, Steve was just talking about the bends. Take a look at he's got vibrato, a whole section just on vibrato right here, guys. But then look at the section just on bends, whole, half, 3-fret, blues, unison, harmony, pre-bend or ghost bends, double pumps, siren bends, bend slides, bend pull-offs. Just a ton of amazing techniques that you need to know. Hand synchronization, slides. Take a look at the slides. Airplane, dedicated, back and forth, sliding to change positions. And of course, there's a whole lot more in here. And of course, arpeggios, man, this thing is huge. In fact, it's 6.5 hours long, guys. This whole entire thing is 6.5 hours long. It's called Essential Techniques. And you can get it right now at guitarzoom.com. Thank you so much, Steve, for making that for everybody to learn from. And guys, if you went ahead and got the course, let us know what you're currently working on. One thing I did want to point out, we've gotten this question a lot, is do you have to go through this entire thing straight to, from the beginning to the end, or can you bounce around, Steve?
Oh, no, you can bounce around. That's the whole thing. It's just, the whole point of it was, for instance, it's not about scales and modes. So we have courses that talk about scales and modes. It's about technique. It's about grabbing your guitar, putting the pick or putting your fingers on there and playing. That's what it's about. So, it's not about, I didn't get sidetracked into theory or didn't get sidetracked into modes. Those are their own things. This is strictly about technique. So if you want to learn more about picking, whether it's hybrid picking or speed picking or alternate picking or down picking or palm muting or whatever it might be, that's the whole thing. So
awesome.